I exposed my pregnant fiancée's affair with my biological father at the party dedicated to my child. Hello, everyone. I don't know how these social platforms work. I've never been the one to openly share my feelings with the crowd on a social media channel that is accessible to everyone. I wouldn't share my feelings with the closest of friends, even if someone had a gun to my head. I am very reserved and do not prefer attention, but things have been very bad lately, and I cannot trust the opinions and judgments of my friends or well-wishers because they would all be biased. I want someone to hear the facts and give the truth so that I can be sure that their statements are not influenced by their acquaintance with me. I am not going to disclose my real name or the names of anyone else in my life. I will use fake names, but the story will remain the same. Just a few months ago, I was the happiest person on earth. I woke up with a grin plastered on my face and slept with immense contentment. The level of satisfaction I had over my life was almost unrealistic. I say this because I've never been a person to thank God for what He gave me or spend hours in church on Sundays. Believe me, God has bestowed upon me gifts that are otherwise considered privileges. I am wealthy because of my businesswoman mother. I have a PhD. My job pays me very well, and I already own an apartment in Chicago. I never took a penny from my mother. It's all my hard work. I, a 35-year-old man, went out of my way to secure my future. I come from a competitive family, so can you blame me for being as perfect as possible? No siblings to irritate me, no overbearing parents, relatives who never interfered in my life. And my friend circle has some of the most accomplished citizens of my country. I had everything sorted, and then I met this gorgeous woman. Let's call her Jessica. You'll know why soon. I met Jessica, a 29-year-old woman, at a conference where I delivered a speech related to the latest advancements in biotechnology and healthcare. I won't bore you with the details of the conference, more so because I don't want the curious minds out there to track me down. Jessica is immensely knowledgeable and knows what she's talking about. She also comes from a very affluent family, and we clicked in an instant. I was 31 back then, and she was 25. We dated for more than 4 years. Almost 5 months ago, Jessica came and told me that she was pregnant and expecting our baby. I was in a phase where nothing was working out for me. My research project was facing way more hurdles than it should. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my best friend was going through a very bad divorce, and I couldn't console or be there for her. I will tell you why shortly. Of course, I was overjoyed to know that Jessica was expecting a child. What else can a man ask for but a token of his love delivered to his doorstep? Everything was great. I was spoiling Jessica and treating her like a queen, which I thought she was. I was always present at home, even putting my professional commitments on the back seat. I still remember it was a Thursday, and I was checking my emails in the morning. That's what I usually do. Wake up, sit with a cup of coffee, answer important emails, and trash the rest. There was this anonymous email that caught my attention. The subject line had text in caps lock, and the letters were in my face. It was evident that the person on the other end wanted me to see the email at any cost. So I opened it and found a few pictures. It would be an understatement to say that I was shocked. You wouldn't believe me, but I could feel my heart pounding in my throat. My body heated up, and my legs started to tremble. I thought I was going to collapse. They were photos of Jessica with my father, my biological dad. She was sitting on his lap with her arms around his neck, his face very close to hers, and his hands under her skirt. Judging by the lighting and the furniture, and the 2 wine glasses on the table in front of them, the picture was taken in a public bar or club. The next photo was even more heartbreaking. It was of them in the living room of my Chicago apartment, the one I mentioned earlier. We stayed there after she moved in with me. They were kissing. This photo was blurry, as if taken hastily. There were many similar photos. Just a day before I received this email, I had bought a ring for Jessica to propose to her. If we were expecting a baby, there was no reason to wait any longer. At least that VJTMM's what I thought. So imagine how I felt discovering she was unfaithful with my own father. I tried to respond to the email to ask who the anonymous sender was. I didn't VJTM to want to lose my happy world, so I immediately clung to the idea of wishful thinking. We are in the AI era, so these images could have easily been faked. Also, who could have accessed my apartment to take these photos? So I dismissed it. That same week, Jessica found the ring I bought for her and screamed with joy. I had a gut feeling, an urge to snatch the ring away from her, but I resisted. If I made a mistake and questioned her loyalty, I might lose her forever. I stayed silent and let her celebrate. She called her family and mine to announce our engagement. While she was talking to my father, I paid extra close attention to their conversation. I found nothing suspicious. They always had a good relationship, and it was the same as always. That VDJTMs when I dismissed the photos as just images. It could be someone who hated Jessica and wanted to ruin her life. I ignored it. Now let VDJTMs go back a year to talk about my best friend. This is crucial to understand my current situation. Chloe, a 32-year-old woman, has been my best friend since college. We were those rare friends who never tried to become more than just friends. Almost everyone else in college did, but not us. We were like siblings, always there for each other, supporting each other, DJ/TM's dreams and goals. She was like my therapist, always offering solutions and guidance to my problems. She met her boyfriend right after college, and he was a great guy. They got married soon after and had a daughter. I always stayed in touch with them, no matter where I was in the world. When Jessica entered my life, I immediately introduced her to Chloe. I wanted Chloe VDJTM's approval of Jessica. I know it wasn't VDJTMT necessary, but part of me wanted Chloe to see my girlfriend and say I made the right choice. Chloe and Jessica got along great. We went out together several times, and there was never any hostility between them until one day when Jessica suddenly said she disapproved of my friendship with Chloe. I asked her why, and she justified it by saying, VDJ and Chloe wants to sleep with you. It VDJ Tim's obvious can DJJ meant you see, DJKJ. In all our years of friendship, I never felt Chloe wanted to be more than friends. I explained this to Jessica, but she wouldn't VDJTMT listen. That VDJTMTez when our relationship's honeymoon phase ended. We fought almost every day because of her suspicion about Chloe VDJTM's intentions. This was also around the time when Chloe and her husband were going through a divorce. They had many differences, and her husband started using drugs and going through women like they were nothing. Naturally, Chloe wanted to stay away from such a man and also keep her daughter away from his influence. She used to call me and tell me how the divorce proceedings were happening, sharing her problems with me, but Jessica used to frown upon it. She used to say that since Chloe's ex-husband was out of the picture, she wanted me to fill the void. It made no sense. If I pointed that out, she'd scream, cry, and say that I'd one day leave her for Chloe. I understand that friendships are valuable, but we were not those young people from college anymore. We had to get our priorities straight. If I had to choose someone, it must be my life partner. I would be spending the rest of my life with Jessica, so it was only right that I respect her insecurities and acknowledge her concerns. If she didn't want Chloe in my life, I wouldn't engage with her like I used to. Of course, I didn't want to cut Chloe out completely. It wouldn't be fair. I told Jessica the same thing, and she agreed reluctantly. Just as I had promised Jessica, I spoke to Chloe occasionally. I made up reasons to not meet her, and even if she called, I'd spend more time on the phone or video call with her daughter and not her. The sudden change in dynamics was very obvious. Put yourself in Chloe's shoes and think for a moment. If you were her, wouldn't you be baffled to see your best friend drift away when nothing went wrong? Chloe was in a bad headspace, and I only made it worse with my stupid behavior. One night, she suddenly showed up at my doorstep, fuming with anger. Chloe is a very stubborn woman, I must admit. If she wants to do something, she will do it irrespective of the circumstances. It was raining heavily that night in Chicago, and she still showed up at my apartment, dripping wet in that flimsy raincoat of hers. For heaven's sake, the woman didn't bother to fetch better rain protection to get to my place, so you can understand that she was pretty furious. She started yelling at me for avoiding her calls and making her feel so alone and left out. She broke down. On one side, her husband started seeking comfort in other women, making her question her worth. And there I was, completely alienating her without giving a reason. She directly asked me if she was a terrible person, because everyone important to her was suddenly walking out without looking back. I've hardly seen Chloe cry. She is incredibly strong. Just think about how much stress she must have endured to break down like that, especially in front of a man who had clearly ghosted her for months. I felt instantly guilty. How did I end up being so selfish? She was always there for me through breakups, professional setbacks, financial issues, and more. There were days I crashed on her couch because I had nowhere else to go, and my ego was too big to ask my sweet mother for some money. I pulled her into a hug, and she sobbed into my shirt. Jessica walked in on us, pulled Chloe away, and slapped her. I'm not exaggerating. At that moment, I was so furious I could have hurt Jessica badly if not for Chloe. I was angry that she assaulted my friend like that, but Chloe kept her cool and calmed me down. I could see how hard Jessica had hit her. Chloe's cheek was crimson red, and she was already shivering because of the cold. Jessica did not let her enter the house. I was stupid. I didn't ask her to come in when I opened the door. She started unloading her emotional baggage so fast that the thought didn't occur to me. Jessica accused Chloe of stealing me away. That was the moment when Chloe finally understood why I was avoiding her. She graciously told us both that she wouldn't be disturbing us anymore and left. After that, she never took my calls or let me inside her house, even though I attempted to make amends with her. She sent me a message saying her husband never chose her as his priority and that I must not make the same mistake with Jessica. Let's come back to the whole pregnancy scenario. I ignored the email and was back to my normal routine. Jessica has a habit of keeping our room messy. I usually asked her to clean it up and she would without complaining, but by then she was 4 months pregnant and I did not want her to do any chores. I began cleaning the room and putting her things back in their respective places. That is when I stumbled upon a file in her work desk VG, a DNA test, a child's DNA test. The result was very clear, VDJ, I am not the father. Well, the reports did not say that, but they certainly identified who the father was. My girlfriend was soon going to deliver my half-sibling. Wow, I should be throwing a party. My sarcasm might seem a bit nasty to some people, but what else do you expect from me? I was building dreams of a romantic future with a child that wasn't even mine. Much worse, it was my father's. I realized that Jessica was playing me, and oh, she was good. But if she was going to go down that path, I would do the same and show her what it means to be betrayed. That was exactly the thought that crossed my mind while I had those DNA results in my hand. I could go and confront her at that moment, but would she admit that she was sleeping with my dad behind my back? Would that make her feel guilty? Would she ever realize her mistake? This woman destroyed my relationship with my best friend while cheating on me with my dad. I might be petty, but I chose revenge. I wouldn't have it any other way. I am no saint, and I would never want to be one. The perfect opportunity came up in the form of the gender reveal party. This happened about a week ago. The memories are really fresh in my mind, so I won't leave any details behind. Jessica was 6 months pregnant. We wanted to do the gender reveal sooner, but my work commitments disrupted our plans. One of Jessica's friends called me and said that they wanted to host a gender reveal party for us. I jumped at the chance and agreed instantly. I still feel that rush of anger while typing this. That gender reveal infuriated me to a great extent, but I kept my composure. I had bigger plans. I started being extra nice to Jessica. She did not notice. I did everything that she wanted me to do. I was never a good actor, so I went overboard to keep my real feelings hidden and to treat her like she meant everything to me. At this point, she meant nothing to me, DG nothing. Any other person would have noticed the sudden sweet shenanigans, but Jessica, being Jessica, didn't care as long as she was profiting from things. On the day of the gender reveal, I faked the excitement on my face. I also went ahead and invited Chloe and her daughter to the party. I knew she wouldn't come, so I emotionally blackmailed her. I sent her many messages saying that I would be needing her on that day, that it was of paramount importance, and that she shouldn't ditch me for anything. I also went ahead and said that I'd never ask her any other favor in my life. I'm glad she fell for it and showed up. Jessica's friends made a video montage for us. I asked them to show it to me before they played it in front of the guests so that I could help them remove any parts that might upset Jessica. I emphasized by saying that her hormones were making her very jumpy these days and that I didn't want her sad on a special day. It makes me laugh. All her friends are men and she had a problem with my female friend, right? I took the video, gave it a nice edit, and returned it. Her friends didn't VDJ Tomet have time to go through it, so they took it straight to the banquet hall, where we organized the gender reveal. My mother wanted to host it in her backyard at her villa, but I refused. Jessica's truth had to come out with a bang. I was driven by revenge. You have no idea how furious I was. It was much worse because I was bottling up my emotions. The event started, and we posed with lovey-dovey faces. Jessica gave a very lengthy speech about how I was the perfect boyfriend and would prove to be the ideal husband and dad. Yes, I am sure I will, but I prefer to do it with my own kid. After her speech, Chloe walked in, and Jessica of DJ/TME's face fell. She was irritated by her presence. I knew she wouldn't make a big deal of it at the reveal anyway. After cutting the cake and seeing that it was a boy, we all cheered and celebrated. You have no idea how badly I wanted to pull my own hair and scream. Finally, they played the montage on the white screen using the projector. It started great, showing the journey from our first meeting to the first date, how we moved in together, and our first international trip. A cute proposal ring, and then boom, the pictures of her with my father. I intentionally did not interact with my father the whole evening. Seeing the color drain from his face as soon as he saw the pictures only intensified my doubts. They both knew what they were doing. It was definitely not a one-time thing. The photographs were taken in multiple locations. DJ, it was pretty clear. The pubs, cafes, my freaking house, my bedroom, on my bed. How could I still hold on to my sanity seeing my father having intercourse with my fiancée in my bedroom, a place where I slept with her every day? How did my father betray me? There were loud gasps, a few disgusted sounds, and a lot of angry stares. Jessica did not expect it. She immediately turned to me and said that the photographs were fake, probably morphed or generated, just like I had initially thought. But my father did not join her. Guilt was plastered on his face. He wouldn't meet my eye. She asked him to join her and explain how everything was a lie, but he didn't VJ's Team BET move from where he was standing. I let her whine and complain for a long time. No one was buying it, honestly. Then I just let the video play. The next frame was the picture of the DNA test she took. Her name was clear on the top as the person who requested and took the test. The result was also clear: VJ, my father, is the real dad. There was no way she could refute that, but Jessica managed to do it. She made me the bad guy. She started accusing me of having an affair with Chloe. She went so far as to say that Chloe J. Tam's husband divorced her because he was aware of our affair. Jessica declared to everyone that the photos and the fake DNA tests were my tricks to avoid taking responsibility for our kid and to run away with Chloe, whatever she meant by run away. Do you know what the most surprising part was? She said Chloe made those photos to defame her. For God VGG/TM's sake, those photographs were clearly original. I couldn't see it the first time, but the guests weren't fooled. When Chloe said she only wanted me to see the truth because I am her best friend, everything fell into place. It was Chloe who clicked the photographs. It's kind of obvious to me now because, apart from me and Jessica, only she knew the code to my apartment. If I was not so engrossed in the pain of the betrayal, I would have used my brain to analyze who might have shown me the reality. That was not my priority then. I had to expose Jessica so that I could. I wouldn't associate myself with a woman who slept with my father right under my nose. I don't know what happened to my dad then, but he suddenly realized that he had wronged his son. I guess it was a kind of epiphany. He stepped forward and admitted to everyone that he was sleeping with Jessica, but claimed he was honestly unaware that the child was his. Jessica never told him. If he knew, he wouldn't have encouraged her to marry his son. How does that make him less guilty? You slept with your future daughter-in-law, and not once did it cross your mind that you were putting your son in the dark. And now you want to be the saint? How could I excuse him? What do you think? Should I have excused him? Because I certainly did not. He also added that Chloe stumbled upon them once while they were in a CAF GC. There was no foul play for her to suspect, but around this time, Jessica started to behave differently with Chloe. She also started telling me that Chloe might be sexually interested in me. When she slapped Chloe on that rainy day, my best friend finally suspected something was wrong. She followed Jessica and found out how she was sleeping with my father. On that day, I threw Jessica's belongings out. I asked her to leave the house. I took back all of the gifts I gave her. I spent a good amount of time over the week to tally up all the money I spent on her and sent an invoice. No, I'm not joking. I sent her an invoice named "Freaking Return My Money by XYZ date." Now, why am I here telling you all this? because people had mixed reactions to how I threw Jessica out. While most of them were happy that I chose to remove toxicity from my life and not accept a woman who showed no loyalty, others felt I should have been generous. Do you think I should have been generous? Excused my father and Jessica cheating on me, and accepted the baby as part of the family. I cut all ties with my father, my biological father. Why would I still associate myself with Jessica? Some of her friends said that I was too harsh in throwing her out like that because where else would she go? She is pregnant, and how will she be able to take care of herself? I expected my dad to take her in, but he did not. He had to answer to his wife, my mother, right? I also felt bad because I hardly thought about my mother. She is combating cancer. I let this news come out in the open and she must have felt terrible. A marriage of almost 40 years crumbled and destroyed. Did I hurt my mother with my revenge scheming? Did I embarrass her in front of other people? I have no idea. I did what I thought was correct, but now I am being haunted by these guilty thoughts as if I wronged someone. Are people gaslighting me with their "think about the pregnant girl" BS? I cannot ask anyone for answers to my questions. The ones on my side would support me, and Jessica's friends will speak in her support. Chloe is here for emotional support, but she refused to make my decisions for me. She said I have to figure these things out, and no one can tell me how to feel. She also added that her opinion would, of course, be biased toward me. So what do you think? Did I do the right thing, or was I wrong for throwing Jessica out and exposing her lies to everyone? Should I feel guilty about what I did? Did I wrong my mother because of the elaborate revenge scheme? My head feels like it will burst open with all these invading thoughts. It's been a rough week, and I am still confused about what I did. I understand the past is past, but just for my mental peace, can someone shed some unbiased light on my situation? Update 1. Thank you so much for your comments. I am very overwhelmed to see so many people come in support of me. I hope you didn't have to experience the same pain that I had to develop such intellectual perspectives. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. A quick update on how things have been in the past month. I finally gathered the courage to speak to my mother. I was pleasantly surprised when she said that she was not offended or embarrassed. My mother suspected that my father had been cheating on her for over 15 years. Can you believe that? And she never told me anything about it. She used to discuss it with her girlfriends, and they always suggested that she not question my dad until she found something suspicious. She never did. My dad was that good. But when I exposed him at the gender reveal party, it felt like a liberation to my mother. My father crawled back to her and begged for forgiveness, something she never gave him. She stood her ground and said that she'd fight her cancer alone. She has her son to take care of her. Oh yes, I will take care of her with my life. Jessica messaged me multiple times, and I ignored her. I also informed my apartment security to keep her off the grounds. When I refused to get into any dialogue with her, she showed up at Chloe's house. Chloe, being the sweet person that she is, explained to Jessica that there is no future anymore and that she must move on and be a better person. The next day, Jessica showed up at Chloe's daughter's school and scared the little girl with her maniacal screaming. She blamed Chloe and me for ruining her life and cursed at the little girl VJ, yes, a little girl. She kept saying that nothing good could ever come to Chloe's daughter because her mother interfered with someone else's happiness. This was way out of line, so I filed a restraining order against Jessica. Chloe did the same. Jessica twisted that against us and told our mutual friends that she saw me and Chloe making out, and that is why we filed for the restraining order. I must laugh at the folks who still believed her. She seems to be silent now. We don't have any nuisance from her end at the moment. I am just hoping it stays that way. Update 2. It's been almost 4 months now. I am here to give you another update on how things have been. It feels like I'm living a soap opera. Jessica is persistent. I must give her that. Even after the restraining order, she sent me multiple emails apologizing and asking for a second chance. She said she'd give the baby up for adoption and we could start fresh. Simple. It was that easy for her to say it. Simple. That's the exact word she used. Guess what, Jessica? It is not that simple. You can't just have babies, give them up for adoption, and pray that the families they go to will give them love and affection. I don't think Jessica even worried about that part. She just wanted to come back to bask in the luxury of being my girlfriend. Well, I ignored her. I think this desperation stems from the fact that she had no one left in her life that she could call her own. Jessica's parents disowned her. It had nothing to do with the cheating scandal, though. Her parents were very supportive when the news broke, even suggesting that she marry the father instead of the son. Well, the father's got more money, so that would benefit their family. So much for being affluent. They disowned her because of some property disputes she had with her elder brother. They took his side and not hers. I didn't bother to inquire about the specifics because it is irrelevant to me. I think that did affect her immensely. Let's skip to the important part. She delivered a baby girl, and as she had said, she did give her up for adoption. We did the next best thing. We requested our acquaintances to adopt her. They've been trying to adopt for a while, but did not feel a connection with any child. We asked them to meet the baby. They met the baby girl once and decided for themselves. Oh, they loved her. I never prayed to God, never thanked Him for anything, but that day, I kneeled in front of the Lord. I thanked Him for giving my stepsister a family. It VJTM's not her fault, is it? Why should she suffer for the decisions that her parents made? How could I ever hate her? She will grow up to be a great human being. She deserves that chance. I would never be harsh on her. My mother is doing well, too. She is responding positively to the cancer treatment and the radiation therapy. I've been taking care of her, and she moved in with me. ITVDJ me's like childhood again. I am always excited to come back home to my mother. Jessica seems to have moved on. She found someone else. Her friends claim that they've DJ Mar going strong and that Jessica learned from her mistakes. Good for her, then. I have no energy to wish her sadness or something worse. She could live a life of her choice as long as it is away from me. Update 3. ITVDJ TM's been 2 years. Wow, how time flies. So Mom is cancer-free VJ, hooray. I am dating a very sweet Filipino girl. I never heard back from Jessica, thankfully. I forgot to mention in my last update that my baby sister has a name. She is called Daisy. I am not revealing her surname for obvious reasons. Some also pointed out why I refer to her as my baby sister VGA because she is. I don't JTM it plan on telling her about our familial dynamics anytime soon. She thinks IVJTM am her uncle. IVJTM will let it stay this way until she is mentally ready to accept the truth. It will take some time. Coming to my girlfriend, I am not rushing things with her. IVDJTM as not because I don't VJTMT trust her, but I want to give us some time and see if we are compatible. There are cultural differences, and she is 26 years old, almost 6 years younger than me. She was the one to pursue me, so I was very hesitant to say yes. I also had this thought that young girls will eventually cheat. Chloe smacked that thought out of me. She said I shouldn't DJTMT look at my present through the lens of the past. Oh, how right she was. My girlfriend is a blessing, and despite her age, her maturity level is astonishing. She didn't VJTMT make a hasty decision in choosing me. It was not infatuation or a result of casual flirting. She took me for me, if that makes sense to you. I am glad she did. We are doing great, traveling together to different parts of the world, and life seems so much brighter now. We are taking one step at a time and let VJTMs see where it will lead us. I am happy for me. I'm sure you are too.